Welcome to the Higherher podcast by Talent Collective, presenting conversations with inspiring women in talent. And get ready, ladies, because this is the last time you're going to hear a man's voice on this show.
Hello. We are back again. Same outfits, different position on the couch, and a new guest. Hello, everybody. I'm Natalie, one of the co-founders of Talent Collective and co-host of Higherher, our podcast that we produce conversations with very, very inspiring women. I'm here with my co-host and co-founder, Krista. Say hello. We're actually at her house. It's so warm and cozy here. She already has the holiday candle vibes going on, so it's very nice. And we are joined today by Cassie. She is one of our members, but immediately became actually a friend of ours before becoming a member. We're actually neighbors, ironically. And so we're excited to chat with her. She has a very, very exciting journey in talent acquisition, now founder of her own company. So without further ado, welcome. I don't want to spoil your intro. So why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about yourself and how you got into recruiting?
Yeah, well, these are my island sisters on the beautiful
I like that.
island of Alameda. So I got started in HR and talent about 15 years ago. I started my career as an HR manager at Target, and I opened up stores across the Bay Area and trained others in how to open up stores. And it just really bred this like very entrepreneurial spirit, and true business operator. I talk about my first year as I just spent that whole year crying because I was giving feedback and I was walking the floor in heels and doing HR while also climbing into trash compactors and delivering COAs, everything. So, but it was an amazing experience. I didn't realize, but I was doing a ton of high volume recruiting. That was all I was doing. So I was opening up stores. I was hired hundreds of employees. And then I got tapped to go to Wells Fargo. Did recruiting there before I went to Stitch Fix and joined pre-IPO and helped just kind of scale the company from 2,000 to 10,000 employees over the course of 5 years. And then went to Block where I led the startup recruiting for our emerging businesses. And then most recently, I started my own company, Moxii Talent Solutions, which has been the most exciting chapter yet for me. And so Moxii, we partner with startups and we hire top talent and then build recruiting infrastructure that's going to allow them to grow and scale powerfully but leanly. I'm a really big proponent and just very passionate about recruiting needs to change, especially for startups. And I feel really deep responsibility for how I partner, how I embed, so that it can really be sustainable and be a reason why you don't need to lay off employees anymore because it's a much more flexible model that we operate in. I'm also a coach, and I coach a lot of members and a lot of recruiters and recruiting leaders, and it's just been so fulfilling. So I'm really excited to chat with you both today.
Yeah. So your company, I have two questions. One is, what stage of startups are you focusing on, if at all, number one? And then number two is, what was really the inspiration? Is it because of the nature of the market and you needed to find a flexible solution for yourself, or that you want to really support startups?
So stage, I'm really looking to partner around seed, but I've actually had some business that I'm talking to that's engaging me pre-seed, which is very interesting, to around Series B. And where I'm really passionate about is consumer brands. And that's where I've really cut my teeth. So that's kind of where I partner. And then in terms of what inspired me, when I left Block, so my whole team was impacted by a huge centralization. And I took a couple months to really reflect, and actually joining Talent Collective was a huge part of that journey. we were talking about photographic memory. I remember going into that happy hour, seeing both of your faces, talking to Larissa, and just like I felt so invigorated by like the network and by the community and by hearing different people's stories. And at that point, I had been looking a little bit, but already it piqued my interest. I'm like, I want to do something different. I don't want to approach this in the same way I'd always approached it. I'm looking at job descriptions, and really everything that was out there at a head of talent level was what I've been calling like overscoped, underpaid, the qualifications. It was like 5 years of experience to lead a team of 20. And I was like, what is this? Like, this is not setting anyone up to succeed here. And
we want to pay you $120,000.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like 80 to 90, like, but executive level experience. Like, it's just like, what is happening? And then I started hearing about like fractional and just like this idea about being able to have more impact across more companies, and then also being really flexible, like in the startup space. And when I started working at Stitch Fix was when like I just had this like fire ignite in me around that very like entrepreneurial, like business owner mindset came to life all over again for me. And so I'm just passionate about supporting startups, supporting for scale. And so I made a really intentional decision that like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to build this. And the coaching on the side has been a really interesting, not pivot, but I guess like complement to what I do too, where I'm finding that there's so many recruiting leaders who are also underinvested, who have managers who don't have time for them, or who also are just learning their role. And so I do like a kind of hybrid mentorship coaching partnership with recruiters where we do some mentoring, and they're able to share with me what's going on with them. It's a safe space. It's confidential. I give my like very direct insights. And then we switch over to coaching so that they can really focus on their leadership development and really working on some of the things that, you know, might be holding them back. And also that are going to allow them to scale in their leadership too. So, all in all, I'm loving what I'm doing, and I'm here for it too, for the Lemon Hall.
Well, and we're very excited. Cassie and I also just had a chat this morning with another member of Hayden. We're going to be launching a mastermind group all for people leaders. So I think it definitely speaks to a lot of themes that you've been talking about already, with like so many people are put into these situations where like, okay, you're a new manager, but like your boss has zero ability, time, resources to be able to teach you how to be a new manager, or like, where do you get your development as a leader? And so I'm really excited about the group that you're going to be helping to facilitate. So thank you for that. And clearly there's a lot that I think we can all learn from you, but from each other too. I think that's a big part of the group, is to have it really be crowdsourced in that way, where we can all help coach and mentor each other on people management. So thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, especially when I was starting out as a leader, and like, I mean, throughout my career, having those moments where it's a safe space to be like, this is happening to me. You're also in a leadership role, like to hear what's worked, what hasn't, to commiserate, to have a safe space. Like, I love that so much about Talent Collective, but also like, I didn't have that like when I started like my career or any point until now. And so I think it's just a really great way for women to support women in that way too.
You know, we were actually just on another podcast recording right before this, and, you know, God forbid your manager is the CEO of the company or the founder of the company, because they have zero time to coach and mentor you, right? Like their entire business has nothing to do with being a people manager. So,
So we need each other.
Well, the key takeaway on that was, when you report to someone so C-level like that, like they're not your manager, they're your leader, right? Like they're not going to manage you or be available. So even in how you define the reporting relationship, it's, you know, just transactional.
Yeah. Now, a few of my clients are in that same situation. And so even in the moments where you are meeting with your leader, it's probably not weekly. And so like those very crucial moments, like, what are you talking about? How are you building the relationship? How are you establishing trust? And Yeah. And then that's a reality for a lot of recruiters, who are a recruiting team of one, or they're the first recruiter, or maybe they're just like leaning in an agency style, but being able to influence, being able to have your authentic voice as a leader is just so important too. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
Would love to stay on the recruiting topic, but go a little bit more into like the market and what are some things that you found as secrets to success, or maybe like unique strategies that have really helped either yourself in recent years as a recruiting professional, or maybe even some of your clients to really help you recruit and retain the best talent in this kind of environment?
Yeah. I think no matter what type of environment, I think the systems that you have in place are just really imperative in terms of how you show up, like during the highs and the lows. And the mindset that I've always found is the most beneficial is taking that business operator mindset. So even though like you're a recruiter on the role, like how are you an extension of that hiring manager and that team? So beyond just knowing the specs of the role, really spending the time early on to uncover every single nuance that there could be about the position, about the team, about the org structure, about what makes it exciting, what's going to make it really hard, and then painting a realistic and really honest picture, I think, from the forefront, and not sugarcoating things. I think when you're like, and when you are trying to sell a candidate too much on something, that's a very clear moment where it's like, this is not the right candidate. Like, so I think being honest, having that transparency, it only benefits you as a recruiter with your close, because that's like, you'll always be closing, like you're throughout the entire process. It helps the candidate because they're being more informed. They have a lot of information that they're able to share during their interviews. And then like when it comes to retention, you're painting a very clear picture of what's going to look like to work there. So hopefully there's no moments where when someone joins, you say, I had no idea like this was going to be what it's like. So I think that like that takes a lot of trust with recruiter and the hiring manager to be able to paint that really holistic picture. And I think when you're leading your recruiting processes in that way, like again, whether it's a competitive market or not, you're able to attract really strong talent and the right talent for the role. And then retain them too and have a really successful overall experience for them too. Yeah.
I want to transition to a little bit more leadership and what it's been like for you as not only a female founder and any uniquenesses that come with that, but also just being a woman in the recruiting profession. What challenges have you faced? Any uniquenesses? We were actually just chatting about it. We should have been filming at that point, but I'd love for you to kind of expand on that.
Yeah. So I think I'm also 5'2", and I think you're short too, right?
You're not 5'6". I'm not sure.
Are you? I see. Okay. See, I feel like I'm 5'5", but I'm a healthy 5'2".
You're in heels.
Oh, yeah, I am. I'm always in heels. So I've always looked young. I'm short. I'm very peppy. I'm very happy. And I think I'm always underestimated. Like, and I've been told that, and I think people get really surprised that like I'm peppy, I'm like positive, but I am like very tenacious and very gritty, and I do not give up, and I will say the thing, but I will say it with kindness. But that's always been something. And I remember, especially like Target was a really big feedback first culture. It was very inclusive though, at least like in the area I worked in. When I went to Stitch Fix was the first time that like, and I've coined this recently, that I felt like I almost was walking around with a mirror, like in front of me. Like I was so aware of like, am I saying the right thing? Because it was such a values-based company, which was so beautiful, like in so many ways. But it was like, am I Stitch Fix? Like, am I the values? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? I would get feedback that I was too polished. I think that's kind of like who I am. And then I do voices, and I'm get feedback about like, that's fun that you do that voice, but are you going to do that to the COO, Cassie? And like, and so sometimes I'd be like, okay, like that's helpful, but like also this is me. And so just like, these these different pieces that like people would always feel very comfortable telling me, because I think I'm a disarming person, because I'm just not, and I'm friendly, and but it's overwhelming, you know, especially like when you're trying to find yourself, trying to find your authentic voice and be yourself. And so like we were talking about before, I feel like my whole first year at Target, I spent crying the entire first year. I was just giving feedback. I was like trying to understand who I was in this world. But over the years, and I think like really forcing myself to give feedback, to say the thing, to, you know, do the thing that's right, even if it's not easy. That like really helped me understand, like, you know, whoever I am, voices, shortness, peppy. I am that person in the morning when you see the memes of people coming and they're like, good morning. I woke up this way. Yeah. Like, that's who I am. Yeah. And so I think the more I lived in that and just was like, it's okay to be you, the more power like I felt as a person, the more impact I think I had to others, the more like safety I created. And so now launching my own business, it's so empowering because I've always worked with brands that are big brand names and have big values. And now I'm really able to say, like, what are my values? Yeah. How do I want to show up? What do I want to stand for? How do I want to act in these moments? Like, is this something that I'm proud of? And I'm so thankful for all those experiences that have like really, you know, I felt like I was like a tree being chopped away sometimes, but like being able to still stand and just live with that and be really open with it is, you know, it's a gift and it's hard, but I'm really thankful for it.
I think that's the key word is gift. Like, yeah, I think all of that was part of your journey for some reason, so that you really could learn what makes you you, so that now in your own business, you can make it whatever the fuck you want.
Totally.
Right? Like, that is my most favorite part about us running companies. Like, there's no one that we have to answer to. I mean, maybe I have to answer to Krista sometimes. Yeah. Like, we totally get to be ourselves, do what we want when we want. Yeah. And like, it's such a beautiful feeling. So now you really get to be who you are.
Yeah. Well, and I think just, you know, when I coach people or like people who are in my, you know, leadership circle who I worked with, when people are going through like hard times, you see a lot on LinkedIn about, you know, like bad work culture. And, you know, I would never tell someone to like, you know, be in a workplace where your mental stability was, you know, questioned, or, you know, you just weren't feeling like you could be mentally stable. But I just believe in not running away from those experiences, like, and instead being like, I can get through this and I will get through this. And in each of those moments, there's something to learn from. There's something to like, there's a little kernel to take with you. Even like the most toxic bosses, like, there are things like I think I'd learn more from the most toxic bosses than like from the best. And just like it becomes part of like your leadership DNA, who you are. And I just think it's, you know, I don't want to say like every one of those is a gift, but the outcome is the gift, isn't, you know, like it makes you really sure of who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. For that vulnerability.
Well,
Okay, so I'm going to double click on something you said before we go to our last question. So you've said a couple times that like the giving of feedback, and like tears that came with that, right? So what was so difficult about giving feedback for you? Was it just like you were so new to it, you didn't know how to do it? It was hard to confront other people. It's hard to say the hard thing. Like, scared of something. Like, what was it?
I mean, here's the thing. I think giving feedback, like if you're giving good quality feedback, it is always going to be hard. Like, it is never going to be like, great, let's give you some really tough feedback today. Like, because you care, like you care about people, like you care about their experience. Sometimes it can be hard to hear feedback. Early on, it was really hard because I was this young 20-something person giving feedback to people decades older than me, who had been in the industry decades older than me, who I had that little peppy, like, I'm HR. And like, they're like, fuck, like, I don't get this feedback from you.
Yeah. They're like, they've been working as long as you were old, right? Like,
serious, like, longer. And so I think like that, it was really hard. And then I think as you progress through your career, like, the feedback's higher stakes, and whether it's like feedback to a peer, which I think is the hardest because you have those relationships and to, again, give quality feedback that around like, hey, this is how I experienced you. And this is how it affected me versus like, don't do that again. Like, that's not feedback.
Yeah.
Like, feedback helps someone be better. It gives them awareness about their impact on others. And the higher up you get, like, the higher up the people are who you're giving feedback to, the bigger like the things are, the more impact that those people have on others. And so, yeah, I just made it like, it's a mantra of mine that like, I will always say the thing like to someone, if there is something that I experienced that, like wasn't within my values or like that I experienced it a certain way, like that's my right to share that with someone. And it's up to them also, like how much they want to take out of that. I always ask like, hey, like I have some feedback, like, are you in a place where I can share it with you?
Yeah.
And if someone's like, no, cool. Like,
yeah, what do you do?
Because it's a lot of effort to give feedback and if someone's ready to listen, like that's cool. Like you're not in a place for that because it's a gift. Like when someone is, doing it in honor of like making someone else better.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it is hard. And it's hard to give, you said this, hard to give good feedback, quality feedback that isn't just fluff or scratching the surface that will actually be helpful to somebody in their development. So last question, I want to continue on the theme of being a woman in the workplace, but shift a little bit more to leadership. So what do you think are some of the most impactful leadership qualities that women, maybe women you've seen or you yourself can develop and how can they go about developing those leadership qualities?
Yeah, I think being a forever learner, like for sure. So I love when I see like women leaders who have reached the pinnacle of their career, we're at like a really high position, who are really open to being challenged, to hearing different perspectives, who raise other women up too, versus cutting them down, and who also like open doors. So I think like having a leader who is really invested in each member of their team, knows what's going to be meaningful for their team members' development, how they can open those doors, how they can like, lift them up and make things happen for them. And obviously like that other person has to be delivering on their end too. But that interest and that investment in others means so much to me. And I love when I see it too, because there's so much power in that role and in opening doors for others. And when you see that happen and women investing in women, it's the best place to be.
Is there someone in particular that made that sort of impact on you?
And
that like sticks in your mind?
Yeah, so many. I like, because this is a Talent Collective podcast, like I know, I am like Gina Peckman with Fan Club.
Oh, Gina.
So I just have to give Gina like a huge, I was talking to Gina twice yesterday. Gina knows me as Turkey Girl now because of the Alameda turkeys.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I know. Yes, it's
it is a thing. Yeah.
So Gina, there's 2 other turkey girls now.
Yes.
But Gina, she is just like, when I went into this next step in my career, I had multiple different like mentorship conversations. I joined the entrepreneurs group through Talent Collective. And Gina was just like, give me a call whenever. Call me. Just call me. Pick up the phone. Call me. I was like, okay. So I call Gina all the time. We send voice notes to each other. She, like even my pitch, like I was talking to her about my pitch the other day. And I was like, Gina, we need like a Gina GPT. Like you just like, she just, the energy, like she is so in it for like, talk about someone who like lifts others up.
Yes.
Like for no reason other than she like cares and it gives her joy. Like she has just been a very special person in this next chapter for me, for sure.
Oh my gosh, that's something to get.
Yeah.
And you took her up on that. Like, there are so many people who offer to help, and then people don't take them up on it. So I would just encourage any listeners out there, take people up on it. Like, people are genuine and that they want to help. And like, look at this amazing relationship that you built with her now.
Yeah.
Because you were brave and said, I need help, and please help me.
Yeah. Well, she made it so easy too. Like, I didn't feel like an ounce of braveness. Because she's very disarming too. You know, like for someone who's like an executive in her like recruiting career, who's built an empire. I mean, like all these great things. She's just like calming, you know, like it wasn't like scheduled time and blah, blah, blah. And I can be like, I'm bad with that too sometimes. But like, she just, you know, really opened the door. And I think like more of that, you know, is so good. And especially just in the talent world too. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Cassie. This has been so fun talking with you here today. So we're going to wrap up. So tell our listeners where they can find you.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn, we're on the LinkedIn. But pop into my DMs. I'm always happy to connect with folks. My website is Moxii, MOXII.com. Spelled weird, just like my name. I just made up that tagline recently. But but definitely LinkedIn is a great place to start. Yeah.
Well, thank you again. I hope everyone reaches out to Cassie, and I hope everyone has a great day. Please like and subscribe and share our podcast. We want to be able to spread the word to other women in TA and help other women connect with each other. So thanks again for your time.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.